Hello. Today I'm going to ask a question, which is, what does it mean to be grounded and how to do it? Now I'm interested in this question because I've seen a clairvoyant once in my life. I had a reading just one time in my life, and that was 22 years ago when I was 28. And this woman, this lady, she said to me, "You've got to get grounded. You've got to get grounded. Like, ground yourself." She said, "You're just floating around. You've got to ground yourself." She said, go into the garden, get some dirt, eat it, put it in your pockets, carry it around to ground yourself." And at the time I thought, how bizarre this lady is. But over the years, as they've passed, I've begun to realise the wisdom in what she was saying. I totally didn't get it, but I do understand it now. And so, for me, I'm starting to awaken to this realisation that there is a relationship between us and the earth, which is part of a natural alignment. And this natural alignment is solidified through the relationship with your parents. And so if you had a relationship with your parents which was maybe a little off, then you may not have been grounded properly, and so you could possibly be still ungrounded, which means that you are sort of floating in the wind. Much of my life I've been like a bit of a train wreck. I'm like the black sheep of the family, things going sideways. Poor old Muzz, will he ever get it together? That's kind of been me. And I know now that a lot of that has to do with the fact that I was ungrounded. I wasn't connected into the totality of everything as it is intended to be for a human being. Right, so I'm interested in getting some more information on that. So, today, what does it mean to be grounded and how to do it? Alrighty, let's see what we got. I drink lots of water, you may have noticed by now. Okay. Greetings and thank you for the question. What does it mean to be grounded and how to do it? Everything leads to the one. As all consciousness evolves, it evolves into greater realization that it is the one. And so, in a sense, all of consciousness, all of existence, is heading towards the one. And so if all of consciousness is heading towards the one, then it implies there is a path to the one. There is a structure to existence which could be said to be a path to the one. And yes, you can have many variations of this path, an infinite number of ways to head towards the one, but still, this infinity is occurring within a path back to the one. So the one is, to use an analogy, like an onion. And there are many layers, beginning with the outer layer, which is the one. And within this outer layer, which is the one, is contained everything. Everything is within the one. And then there are layers internal to the one. And then contained within those layers are all of existence, which is not to the extremities of one, but within the one. And this layering continues It continues, it continues, it continues. And so when we arrive at the level of the human, we can see that humanity, the human being, is a fractal of this model. This model continues. So we have the one which is a being of infinite beings, of infinite consciousnesses contained within the one. And for you also, you are an infinite being that is the crucible of infinite consciousnesses. Within you, there are many trillions of cells. Each of these cells has a consciousness. And so you are the God of these cells. For these cells, you are the one. Just as all of existence is within the one. Within the one, there is infinite consciousness. And as it is a fractal universe, then within you also, there is infinite consciousness. You have many trillions of cells. Each of these cells is a being of infinite consciousness. And within these cells, there are atoms, and each of these atoms are beings of infinite consciousness. Consciousness in a different form, but it is still a form of consciousness which is the crucible for infinite consciousness. Because within the atom there are the subatomic particles. And it is now becoming realized in the human field that these particles are infinitely divisible. So you have the atom, and then within the atom you have the subatomic particles, and yet these subatomic particles themselves will be discovered to be infinitely divisible. And so each of these divisions of the particle is yet more consciousness. And then contained within this small particle are more particles of consciousness. And so at each level you look, below it, through infinite division, there are an infinite number of particles, each with a form of consciousness. So every single particle of existence is a consciousness acting as the crucible for infinite consciousnesses, just as the one is. It is the divine design. And so, when we go in the other direction, if we have this in mind, that there is this fractality, that you are a God of infinite consciousnesses, because you have the consciousnesses of your cells, which contain the consciousnesses of your atoms, your subatomic particles, which are infinitely divisible. So you are the God of infinite consciousnesses. Heading in the other direction, you are contained within the consciousnesses of the humanity being. Humanity is a single organism, and you are like a cell of that organism. You are like a neuron in the brain of humanity. And then humanity is contained within the consciousness of the earth. And then the Earth is contained within the consciousness of the Sun. And then the Sun is contained within the consciousness of yet a larger group, a local star cluster. And then the local star cluster is contained within the consciousness of yet a larger structure, until eventually contained within the consciousness of the galaxy. And then the galaxy is contained within the consciousness of a cluster of galaxies, and on and on and on. So you can see there is a path, because your consciousness is in the family of the Earth, within the Sun, within the local star cluster, and so on. And if we have another system which is not in the local star cluster, and there are planets orbiting a sun, and on those planets there are sentient beings, then they are contained within the consciousness of their race, which is contained within the consciousness of their planet, within their sun, within their local star cluster, within larger structures, within the galaxy. It all heads back to the One. But you can see they have a different path. They are within the One, as you are within the One. And yet the structure for them is slightly different, because while they are in the same galaxy as us, for example, they are not in the same planet, or same race, planet, sun. And so there is a different path going back to the One. So for an individual to be connected into this path, such that they may draw upon this natural alignment, which goes back to the One, then it is essential that they are energetically fitted into this path, so to be part of their race of beings, and then also to be connected into their planet, to be grounded. So for an individual to be aligned with this path, to be part of this organic system of consciousness within consciousness, in a way which is as intended, so that this consciousness may evolve and awaken and self-realize as the One most rapidly, then to be grounded into this understanding and grounded into the Earth, or the planet on which they reside, in their system, in their part of the galaxy, their part of the universe. So when a child is born, the child is still very untethered to the Earth, but are because they have a higher degree of dependence. So they are born not tethered to the Earth, so they can walk about as an individual, adult, grounded into the Earth, so they draw from the Earth. Because this alignment, when you are grounded into your planet, from that relationship, you draw power. You draw a sense of peace, clarity, strength, forthrightness, belief in your capacity to survive the life that you're living. And so, when an individual is fully grounded, there is less fear, less worry, less anxiety. And so those that choose to dominate the earth field through darkness, part of their agenda is to interrupt this relationship between you and the earth. Because the less you are connected to the earth, the less grounded you are into the earth, the less you are awakened as a part of nature, then the more vulnerable you are to anxiety, to fear, to worry, to dread, to a sense that you may not survive the life you're living. So, when the child is born and they have a high degree of dependence, they ground into the earth through their parents. Their parents, as adults, by the organic design, should be grounded into the earth. They should be connected into the earth and be drawing from the earth their sense of power, self-belief, everything is going to be okay. Peace, love, joy. And then, by proxy, the child, the infant, is grounded into their parents. And so they draw these same qualities from their parent, as their parent acts as the conduit, acts as the connection between the child and the earth, grounded into this organic pathway such that there is an alignment of energies and the growing of the child, the nurturing of the child into adulthood occurs in a healthy way with a positive outcome, a healthy outcome for the infant when they are entered into adulthood. However, if the relationship between the child and the adult is interrupted, then this grounding effect will be less pronounced, and it can be highly interrupted. And so when it is highly interrupted and a child does not connect to the earth by proxy through a parent, then they are, in a sense, ungrounded. They are untethered, disconnected. And so they will have a higher tendency to behave in ways which are unpredictable, unreliable, irrational, fearful, self-defeating, self-harming, self-sabotaging. So it's important that a child has a relationship with an adult that is grounded into the earth, that is somebody who has awakened to their understanding that they are part of nature. This is the intention, this is the final outcome. And so when humanity lived primarily as beings of nature, they did not have industry and communities, permanent communities, they were more nomadic, and they lived from nature, dependent on nature. They were very grounded into nature. And also the children, by proxy, through the parents, were also very grounded into nature. And so societies, within communities, there was a very, very predictable outcome for the children, most, if not all of the children, would have a very predictable outcome as they came into adulthood, because they had been aligned with this energy. They had been connected into the path back to the One through their grounding into the earth, initially by proxy through their parents. And so this is why many races have a coming of age ceremony, a coming of age ritual, where the child is now considered to be an adult. And this function is when the parent is removed from the relationship as the proxy between the earth and the child now, as an independent, grounds into the earth, no longer needing the proxy of the parent. And so then they can become grounded into the earth, reliable, dependable members of their societies, and soon to be ready to be a conduit to ground their own children into the earth, into this alignment, into this path back to the One. However, in modern society, first we have this problem where there are many children who do not have a relationship with their parents which allows them to be grounded into the earth by proxy. And in many cases, even the parent themselves did not have this relationship where they were grounded into the earth through the proxy of their own parents. And so now there is an increasing number of children who are aimless, who are fearful, who are anxious, who are untethered to the energy of the earth, and without that roots into the earth through the proxy of their parents, they are floating in the wind. They are without purpose. They are without hope. They are filled with anxiety and fear and dread. Unsure they can survive, and in many cases convinced that they cannot survive. And so it is important, if you are a parent, to have a relationship with nature and to share that relationship with nature with your children. To have an affinity with nature, to draw power from nature, to recognize that you are a cell of the earth organism. You are a part of nature. And so is your child. And they can, by the proxy of you, draw on this energy themselves as they build their relationship with the earth through this grounding, until eventually you are no longer necessary and you can step away and they can become independent adults, grounded into the earth, aligned with the path back to the One. And so they can live their adult life with a sense of assuredness, confidence, belief that everything is going to be okay. Anxiety, fear, worry, something which is not prominent in their life. Because through this connection, through this grounding into the earth, aligned with the path back to the One, they have a sense of everything will be okay. Because that is the vibration, the vibratory quality of nature, of the earth. So if you did not have a relationship with your parents which was healthy, which was a lot of time together in loving dynamic, for example, if you were in a broken home or there was trouble in your home, and you did not have this relationship with your parent, then it is possible that you are still not properly grounded. You are not still not connected into the earth as the way it is intended. And so if you feel a sense of familiarity, if this rings a bell for you, then we suggest that you begin by spending more time in nature and build a relationship with nature where you can feel energetically that you are sinking roots into the earth, into nature, that you are becoming like a plant growing from the soil. So your energetic nourishment is not yours alone to be responsible for, but can be drawn upon from the earth. This is the service the earth offers to you. It wants you to draw your energy from it because the earth and nature loves you. It sees you as a cell of itself, just as it does for the tree, the grass, the bird, the flower. And so its gift to you, its service to you, is to give you this energy, to give you this sense that everything is okay, that you will survive, that you will prosper. And then also, there are some adults that have continued to use their parent as a proxy for grounding into the earth. Modern society does not have a ritualized process, a ceremony, where the child is considered to be stepping out of childhood and into adulthood. And at this moment of transition, the parent steps away as proxy for their grounding into the earth, and then from this moment forward, the child becomes responsible for themselves, and so ground into the earth themselves. And so this creates a dynamic where there are adult children that still have a relationship with their parent, where their parent is continuing to be the proxy. And so the child adult, is unable to fully grow up, to fully become an independent cell of the earth organism, grounded into the earth directly through their own roots, not through the roots of their parents. And so if you feel that you have a relationship with your parents which makes you feel like you are a child, that makes you feel like you are not independent from them, but you are still under their parentage in a way where they are not a peer as much as they are a parent, and it feels that it compresses you, that it holds you down, that it limits you, then consider that it is possible that you are grounding to the earth through them as the proxy still, even now. If you are 30, you are 40, you are 50, it is possible that you are still having this relationship. And so, it is up to you to emancipate yourself. It does not mean that you stop loving your parents, but it is up to you to ground yourself into the earth without the proxy of your parents, to move your parents out of the way so the path back to the one is direct and is not by proxy. So your parents become revered elders who are also, in a sense, peers, rather than beings which are between you and the earth, between you and the path back to the one. So, if you have children, then be mindful that it is your responsibility that you ground eventually, when the time is right and your children are on the precipice of becoming adults, that you relinquish your role as proxy and assist your children to ground themselves directly into the earth, so that they are aligned in the path back to the one directly, as independents. And you step to the side and you relinquish this role and allow the relationship you have with your children to change, to transition to what is next, which is your role as elder, as mentor, and less as the parent and more as this wise elder mentor, and allowing your child to be more independent, to be more able to make their own choices, to determine their own direction of the life they are living, and allowing them to ground into the earth directly. If you are an adult now and you did not have a relationship with your parents where you were able to ground into the earth through them by proxy, then go into nature and allow yourself to sink energetic roots into the earth. Become part of the energy of the earth. Align yourself with this sacred path going back to the one, so that you can be part of the system, part of the design as it was intended, and you can draw from the earth these qualities of power, peacefulness, joy, love. And finally, if you are a parent and you have adult children, then be mindful that you are allowing your children to ground themselves directly into the earth without you as a proxy. It is okay to let your children become the independent beings they're intended to be. And you change your relationship. And so you are no longer the matriarch, the patriarch, that has final veto power over what is the direction of your child's life. And you instead step away and trust that they shall be okay. And as you step away and you allow them to be independent and make the decisions they want, they will begin the process of grounding themselves into the earth. And you can, through discussion, have a mutual understanding that this is the process, that you are removing yourself as the proxy in this alignment path back to the one. And so you are going to move to the side. You are going to transition your role. So you will become the wise elder mentor on the sidelines. You offer advice when it is sought, but not directives. And the purpose is for your adult children to root themselves, to ground themselves into the earth, into nature, so they may draw upon that and become part of the system, part of this infinite dynamic in both directions, as it is intended, as the model was designed. And so they can begin to experience less struggle, less anxiety, less fear, less worry, because they will be drawing upon these qualities of peace from the earth, from the sun, from the local star cluster, from the galaxy, from the one. You are the earth. You are not walking the face of the earth. You are a cell of the earth organism. You are a consciousness contained within the consciousness of the earth. You are the earth. You are the sun. You are not a being on a planet orbiting the sun. You are the sun. The earth is within the consciousness of the sun. All of the planets in this system is within the consciousness of the sun. You are the sun. The sun is within the consciousness of the local star cluster. You are the local star cluster. You are the galaxy. You are the one. And so for you to be fully integrated into this model, then begin by integrating into the earth, grounding yourself into the earth, integrate into this model so that you can become more realized as the whole, as the one. Become the earth, become the sun, become the local star cluster, become the galaxy, become the one. There is much peace and power to be had when this integration is adapted, is allowed to happen, is realized. So, we encourage you to investigate the possibilities, to spend more time in nature, to consider the relationship you have with your children and your parents, and the relationship that you have with the earth itself. Thank you.